Thanks so much, Andy. Hey, Derek Block.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
You got it. You got it. So first, I want to say the questions I'm going to ask you are not meant to put you through the ringer to kind of make you relive some bad and difficult times, but truly it's because I know, as do you, a lot of people in this industry have just had it. They're at capacity. They're feeling fatigued, they're feeling stressed, they're unsure about what's going to happen in Q4 and Q1 of next year. And when we thought about somebody who has been through some dark times and come out the other side of it. I thought of you, and you and I don't know each other that well, but we had a great discussion over the phone. And I thought if there's somebody who's got a great success story that can kind of inspire people in the industry and they know you, Derek, and they can relate to you, it would be you. So without further ado, what I'd like to ask you is, I'm going to kind of set the stage. So back in the 2000s, your company, you were very young back then. You were in your late 20s, early 30s, I would imagine. Your company was on the top 40. You were, as Andy said, you are Distributor Entrepreneur of the Year. And then things with your business went south. So can you kind of walk us through a little bit of what happened there?
Sure. Much like probably anybody that gets started in business, I was an entrepreneur, and at the very beginning, it was just about getting business going. And probably much like everybody, especially in this industry, it's somewhat easy to get into. But when you start to grow your business, you get into just infrastructure, visibility of stuff, multiple systems. So we're successful early on. I've always said the sales machine's never been broken, but operationally, it was less of a passion and more of a have to learn all the operational components. So really what ended up happening for us is we grew the business into a position where we really just lost visibility of all the things that we needed. We put, probably I would have called myself at the time a poor leader in the context of understanding what it really took to run a business, maybe a little bit ignorant to what that leadership and the components really take, probably not looking as hard into the dark corners of things I needed to know, and probably some trust without validation to people that were in roles of responsibility. So, I don't think our path and process was different than what a lot of people go through. I just never had the luxury of working for another business and knowing how they navigated that. So we grew ourselves into the same position that many people may find themselves into. We were probably the rumor of the industry. We were credit holds. Yeah, credit holds with everybody. We had, our vendor management was really poor, 493 active open vendors. So, when everyone gets started, it's a line of credit with a vendor that's minimal, or prepay your first order. So just really poorly managed. For me, I took on an investor partner in 2005 that allowed me to go live what I really enjoyed doing, which is being in the boardroom, presenting and winning business, and left operational stuff a lot to a team of people, and somewhat of an ownership structure that was so different, dramatically different with inventory and shipments than what my investor partner, what his background in business was. So that operational need that I in hindsight really needed was more of an investor than an operational partner.
So you had told me, you really described yourself as not a great CEO back in the day. You said there was a lot you didn't know that you had to kind of work your way through. And I think where a lot of people in this industry are now, it's very daunting, Derek, what they've had to deal with. And we'll dig into how you kind of got yourself, how the business, how you got out of that hole and came out on the other side. You were on the top 40 last year. You guys did 48.5 million last year. So the company has clearly rebounded from where it was. But in the midst of you trying to fix the company, and again, we'll dig into the specifics of that because you did some really smart things that I think can help people. you were blindsided by, frankly, a life-threatening health crisis. So you had these dual things happening. And, I think for people right now who feel like they just cannot take one more thing on their shoulders, what piece of advice would you impart to them as far as how do you get through something like that when it just seems too much?
Yeah, I mean, the dirty details of what we went through was, we had consultants coming in, picking through everything. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I had physical issues, and I didn't really know what the hell to do. I was
That must have been
looking
uncomfortable.
for it. Yeah, I mean, leading up to it, I would say I was probably I didn't have a desire to learn, as much. So I probably, in hindsight, never improved myself, my capability, and my experience and perspective on stuff. And then I get hit with health issues that, when the C word gets thrown around, you don't know if you're going to die or where that's going to end. So going through all of that, I mean, in hindsight, there's really good perspective. People that know me know I'm an emotional guy. So in hindsight, I'm surprised I kept
Seriously? All
my
evidence to the contrary, Derek, but okay.
yeah, but I kept my shit together through all that stuff. I mean, when your business gets flipped upside down, there's a lot of humility in that. So going through that, really getting somewhat ostracized to the side, everybody checking through everything. Is this a valid business? My investor partner really getting into, what did I invest in? He says he invests in the jockey, not the horse. So he didn't know anything about brand and merchandise space. So, going through all that, it was like, what the hell do I do now? And I went to a long-standing colleague that's in the business, and I'm, shut the door, and I'm like, what should I do? And I didn't know, like anybody that goes through stuff, I didn't know, should I resign? What should I do? Right? This has been my livelihood since I really became a professional, and I didn't know what to do. And he said, just focus on what you do best, and go win more business. And so we did that. The consultants that came in, they did their job, and that hard work of managing expectations from vendors, fulfilling the promise of when they're going to get paid and paying them. I knew that my investor partner Larry is a very wealthy guy. So we had a path to work our way out of it. Not knowing that, but it was really humbling times. I mean, apologetic beyond belief of how we ever got there. Some of the trust I had in the business operations were, Derek, go get in the boardroom, go sell, go create more revenue. So probably ignorantly, I didn't have to worry about finance anymore, and didn't have to worry about if our inventory numbers were increasing. So I just took a lot of things for granted. That's where I would say I was a poor leader of a business, poor CEO. I didn't even really know what that meant until after this whole thing. So we really stuck to our brand position and point of difference, a great way to articulate that. And we feel like what we do is really special. The intellect we infuse in the way brands are built through segmentation and architecture is something really unique and different. We focused on that, went told our story to as many people as we could. And part of that through the process is when you see how broken your business is, when you have 3 systems to process 1 order, and everybody knows the tools that are out there, that data, compiling it all together with e-com transactions, gives you opportunity to lose sight of real data. So any decision you make on bad data is a bad decision. And even though our leadership team would align on those decisions to a large extent, that if the data is wrong, the decision is going to be wrong. And that's really where we found ourselves.
Do you think that everything that you went through gave you the confidence to deal with the situation we're in now? Because you told me, which I found surprising, you guys have done very little PPE. You said, and I quote, you'd be shocked if you did $50,000 worth of PPE.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how did you kind of shore up yourself to deal with this pandemic? I know you went through all of that, but you made a decision early on, calculated not to do PPE. So what did you do?
Yeah, so I would say that you know you're either fortunate or lucky, or you put yourself in a good position, and there's no magic formula to it. We've been, with humility, really fortunate. We have a business that is overperforming budget by a lot, and with 50,000 maybe of PPE, I would say, we less about were we confident, did we navigate things right. We have a good mix of clients, and we've been very entrepreneurial in the way that we've found clients and grown business with them. That would be, you call it the product of the industry is there, but the traditional business of what an industry customer looks like is very unorthodox, the way that we're doing business. So, but that was our entrepreneurial passion and DNA that put us in that position. But I can tell you the one thing that sticks out to me, and anybody that's been through hard times, we had immediate and like almost violent alignment on making decisions quick, right? Because we did not want to be in the same heartburn position that we were in, where we were slow. We immediately, and I'm talking within days of this being real, we took progressive, swift action with the same expectations that everyone else had. We laid off a good number of people, maybe 20% of our workforce. We did an across the board haircut. I took a bigger haircut as an example of what we should be doing, and we were really aggressive with it, because I said, we've been in this position before, and you can never get it back, but you can give it back. So we really were super aggressive in doing stuff, and fortunately, for us, we didn't see the dip in business. 2 months later, we paid everybody back. On the haircut, we onboarded people back, and I say that almost with guilt, because I know what people are going through. That we're in a fortunate position. I was, when we went through this, and this is just, I would go to the mailbox and think that the mailman knew that I was in the shitter. Like, I would literally think everyone knew, and so I know what the other side of that feels like. So we're humble and fortunate that we're there, but the swiftness and decision, even if I reflect back onto when we got into trouble, I didn't want to know the truth. I had a hunch of what the truth was, but I kind of didn't want to know, and didn't go force it, because I'm like, that's what the COO does, or the CFO, like that's what those individuals are responsible for. So I didn't really want to know. So I think we trusted our hunch. We had alignment of that, and we were super aggressive in making the decisions that we need to, with the context we can give it back, we can never go get it.
So a couple questions from the audience, Derek. And by the way, it seems like one lesson that you learned, I can tell from listening to you, you seem to have perplexingly ceded control back then. You almost kind of had a laissez-faire approach to running your own business, where you don't now. You're in it,
Yeah, I was just an immature leader. I would say, and I've used this term before, I was playing business, not doing business. Having the title and thinking that we have it all figured out, knowing that there are warts there that needed to be addressed, and probably not addressing them. Just thinking ignorant, naive, that everything works itself out. So we're certainly more mature than that. In hindsight, I wish maybe I would have gone and worked for somebody for a while. But I tell a lot of people that were big deals back then, why didn't you come find me?
Okay, a couple questions. We have a question from Ian, who would like to know, if you're not doing PPE, what would your best-selling products have been during the last 2 quarters?
Ooh, apparel. We took a really proactive approach, similar to what our culture is, an engagement of, you have a, broken apart workforce, and instead of us focusing on what we thought would be at Costco, at Kimberly-Clark, that, any office supply company would be delivering in hand sanitizers and masks, we really shied away from that and said, what about the connection to an employee? So we focused a lot on kits and stuff, but I would say, my answer is probably apparel would be the category, but if you look at our mix of clients, we do a lot in the social media follower space, that you have kids at home spending, $25 on a garment or their parents' money, college kids. And so I'd say it's more part and parcel to the fact that the type of business we were doing, the type of clients we had, but it wasn't one specific thing we focused on per se. It was more the ideas we're planting with our clients were how to keep yourself tethered to your employee base and how to continue to push culture when you didn't have the venue of relationships to build, but that you could still do it.
Okay. Another question, since you've embraced pivoting quickly and making fast decisions, Derek, do you still have offices? Are your people working in the offices, and are you going to give up your office space?
No, we're not giving up our office space.
Okay.
There's a belief we have, and one of really the things that are core to our business and culture are building relationships. And I know there's a big wave of like REI has sold their headquarters, they're moving out, everyone's going to be remote. We're people are meant to be with each other, and we just believe that. Or are we smart about, do we need an office in a particular area or region? When we were early on in the midst of making our mistakes, we did all that stuff too. We laughed at people that had Class A office space all over the place, and then we went and did it. So we've been a little bit more, if there's a want and a need, if we need an office, we have it. I think we've challenged internally, if it's a one-off office with 2 or 3 people in it, do you guys prefer to work at home? If you do, let's memorialize that now. But the one thing that's killing me as a relationship and people person is the quality and quantity of time you get to spend live with people. So we'll never give up our office. I think what has changed is where you thought you need to travel to go see somebody, just for the sake of traveling, it's $1,000, you blew 2 days. I think a little bit of that is on both sides of it. The customer's expectations are like, yeah, you don't need to come see me. Let's just do a Zoom call. We can catch up on everything. But what we believe is you can maintain business by doing this, but you can't go grow a relationship with somebody by doing it this way. So we get a lot of energy from time together and time with clients. So we won't give it up. We'll make some decisions that are just smart in the course of business, but we won't give it up.
Well, thank you very much, Derek Block, for your time and your candor and for being so forthright. I really appreciate it.